So this is it. We're on the eve of the new election for 2020, and I imagine a lot's going to be going on. And I'm wondering, are you as filmmakers going to be out there with your cameras? I know I review a fair amount of film-related gear. Are you going to actually be using your gear? Are you going to be out there putting it to use, documenting these, no doubt, historic events that are going to unfold? I'm just wondering. Me, myself, I don't know that I'll be out there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of craziness going on. And I don't know that I want to take my cameras out there and take myself out there during the craziness, but I'm wondering if any of you are going to venture out, and if so, it'd be really cool to see what you shoot. I may go out. Maybe I will. That's what these things are for, right? So maybe I'll also venture out, but we'll have to see. I'm not going to promise, but I'm not going to say I won't. But in the meantime, I've been testing out the Sony A7S III, which I'm currently recording this with, and I've been testing it with the Zeiss Batis 18mm lens. I've been told that the Zeiss Batis 18mm f2.8 is the lens for vlogging. But more importantly, the reason I wanted this lens in this very wide field of view is because I want to use this lens with Catalist Browse. And the reason why with Catalist Browse I wanted a wide lens is because it crops in as part of its stabilization process. So depending on how stable you want your footage, you have to crop in more. So having a very wide field of view is beneficial, and not going too wide at the same time where it will lead to a lot of distortion is also important. So there's a number of caveats when using that. The other is that you really need to crank up your shutter speed. So having an f2.8 in the case of this lens is not a bad thing to have. I would take this faster. If you're listening Zeiss, if you're listening Sony, I would take a wide lens about an 18mm, maybe 16 if I'm pushing it, but I would take it faster. There's no harm in that. So these lenses with Catalist Browse are potentially a really good solution if you don't feel like really, bogging yourself down with weight. The main thing about this, as opposed to the Sony G Master 16-35, is this lens is very light. It's 330 grams. It's literally less than half the weight of the zoom equivalent. So having a light lens means that you can easily carry it when you're vlogging. Very easy to carry, and that's important. Being able to stabilize a light lens, a wide lens, and then use this Catalist Browse in post is magic. So high shutter speeds require a fast f-stop, which this has at 2.8. Not the fastest. I would have taken a 1.8, but it's not available. Not in these kind of autofocus lenses, to my knowledge. Maybe Samyang, maybe I don't know. But to my knowledge, I was looking at the Sony, I was looking at the Zeiss, and I think that's pretty much all I was looking at. So I didn't see it in those, but I'm really happy with the Zeiss so far. Take a look at the footage. Let me know what you think. Is it stable? Does it work? Does it look like a gimbal? Because I'm not using a gimbal at any point. The entire thing is handheld. I literally have the camera on this thing. And this is the remote. And you just pop the camera here and you hold it out in front of you and you go walking and that's it. So no stabilization whatsoever on this in camera. All of the stabilization is being done in post using Catalist Browse. So I need your feedback to let me know what you think. Honestly, if you're going to get out there, please let me know, share your footage. I'll be very curious to see what you come up with. And the other thing, and this is important, please remember to share this video, like and subscribe if you like the content I'm doing. I'm going to try and so in post I'm going to crop in. So I'm shooting this with an extra wide lens, 18mm. This is a Zeiss Batis f2.8, which I think is a great lens actually. I think Zeiss has a pop. Don't you think it has certain magic, Zeiss? Yeah? See, she agrees. So the idea is in post I'm going to take this footage in and I'm going to stabilize it by cropping in. Well, I'm not going to stabilize it. The Catalist Browse is going to stabilize it, and hopefully the result will be stable footage. I don't know how it will look. I'm going to do some side-by-sides with the footage prior to stabilization and then after stabilization to give you an idea of what both look like, and hopefully it looks great. But you can see how wide this is. I mean, she's all the way over here, I'm all the way over here, and everybody's in the frame, so you can tell it's a very wide lens. I mean, on a full frame sensor, 18mm is pretty wide. On a crop sensor, it's not that wide, but on this, it looks really wide. She looks a million miles away from me, and she's actually right here, so not that far. So literally at arm's length. But so that's what's going on. And I don't have an ND on this, and the reason why is that I don't need one, because essentially I'm shooting at 200 shutter speed, which is pretty fast. So now she's taking pictures of me taking pictures. Stay.
Yeah. Blondie, Ben. Maybe because they're used to wearing masks all the time.
Not all bad with our new lockdown reality. So ever since the pandemic, this is what we've been dealing with, is essentially life is very different than it used to be. We used to enjoy coming to restaurants, and we used to eat inside because we're human, and we used to go inside the building. But now, ever since the pandemic, everybody now has to eat outside. At least it seems that there's two camps, I would say, two camps. Some people that will actually venture in, but in most cases people are not choosing to venture in. I'm not sure how this will play out going into the winter, because eventually it's going to get too cold that it's feasible to be outside. One of the perks is you can have your dog with you when you go to a restaurant.
Bonjour. Right here.
So these are to go, believe it or not,
All right,
which
this
is
for the salsa. Thank you so much.
mighty civilized.
Like a little bag for the